Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Nanice El-Gammal, and this is your Astro Tarot reading for the lunar eclipse in Capricorn happening on Sunday, July the 5th of 2020 at 6:43 a.m. Cairo, Egypt time. So I'm going to start by talking about the astrology, and then at the very end of this video, I'm going to pull a card for the collective, a tarot card for this lunar eclipse. So before I get into the astrology part, I want to start with something that my spiritual teacher just mentioned a few hours before I record this report. And he said that if you think someone is doing something wrong, not to judge them, but to pray for them. And he said, especially if you feel like you are on the right side, like you are the one that's on the true side, then rather than to judge or to condemn them or ridicule them, it's best to pray for them. And I really think that's a really great approach for what's going on in the world right now, in the public sphere. So personally, I've been going through some very intense times. Right after the solar eclipse, I had some quite shocking and disruptive, sad news that I'm still digesting and I am working through. And so I've been refraining from being so active on social media. So I apologize to my friends, and I hate the word, but followers, people who I interact with on social media. I'm sorry if I haven't been very present in these recent days, but I really felt a need to withdraw and to take out my my psychic energy from the social media in towards taking care of myself. So I've been contemplating what this lunar eclipse means this morning, and I was going into the kitchen, and from the kitchen window I saw a bird, a pigeon, and it was on the window ledge, and it was standing on one leg, and I couldn't see the other leg. So I was like, oh, poor thing, it only has one leg, because it was just standing there for ages, for a good half an hour or more on the window ledge. And usually pigeons don't hang around for that long at my window. So especially with pigeons, I feel they carry a message. So I paid attention and I was observing it, and it was just standing for ages on one leg, and I'm like, oh, this poor pigeon, and then I went back into the kitchen to take a look at the pigeon again, and I noticed that he or she took out the other leg and started scratching himself like a little bit with the claws. And I was like, oh my God, thank God it has two legs, because I was starting to feel really sorry for this pigeon. I was like, should I take it in, or and it scratched itself a little bit and pulled its leg back in and was just standing there again on one leg. And the way it was doing this, the way it was standing on one leg, was so natural. It was so easily balanced, could scratch while it was standing on one leg. And I was thinking, okay, so this is a sign, this is a message for this lunar eclipse. So what can a pigeon balancing on one leg, what does it mean? Well, for me, it meant that for the next period of time, an eclipse lasts for at least 6 months. For the next 6 months, that we're going to need to actively balance, and our endurance is going to be tested. I mean, standing on one leg so skillfully requires a lot of endurance, and the reason why I said actively balance is because it's on the right leg. So I thought, okay, this is the more active masculine side, like the yang side of the body. So to actively balance, meaning if we let ourselves go, like if we let our passions and our emotions take over us, we're gonna lose balance. So we need to think of things like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon that we're going to have for the next 6 months. So these qualities are going to be what's necessary to thrive. So just a few days before this lunar eclipse, a couple of days ago, Saturn returned to the sign of Capricorn. And this is where this eclipse is going to happen. It's the feminine, cardinal, earthy temple of Saturn. And both Saturn and Jupiter, which are the two largest traditional planets, are in Capricorn right now. And they are finishing their business before they meet up in Aquarius in December on December 21st, 2020, on the winter solstice. So we are at the closing of a major cycle, a 200-year cycle, and at the cusp of a new one that's happening from this winter, from December. So Capricorn can represent structures, authority, establishment, traditions, and corporations, especially with Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, the big, the big ones. They're all in the sign of Capricorn right now. So structures, traditions, and establishments are being redone. Like it's having like an overhaul. And while this is going on, when Saturn was in Aquarius until a few days ago, it was there for a few months, I think since March, I believe. Saturn was in sextile to Mars in Aries, and there was a harmonious energy exchange between these two planets. Now Mars in Aries is very passionate, it's very athletic, it's fiery, and Mars likes to war and fight and battle and be courageous. It's a very strong Mars in Aries. So Saturn and Mars were kind of cooperating in a harmonious manner. Saturn can be like, my teacher at Chuta Bhava once said that Saturn can be like the brakes and Mars is like the gas pedal. So they were kind of working like in tandem for the past few months. But now that Saturn has moved back into Capricorn, they are now by whole sign, and for the next 6 months they're going to be, or just around over 5 months, they're going to be squaring. Now what this means is that they are going to not be working so much in harmony and in tandem anymore, but they're going to be, it's going to be more of a challenging aspect. So it's kind of like we want to go during this time. We want to go towards what we believe and what we want to fight for, but we're going to be stopped. The brakes are going to need to be, the brakes are going to turn on hard. So this could mean that we're going to feel a sense of restriction for the next 6 months. Somehow this will return. I'm sorry to say this. I know this is not what you guys want to hear, but I'm just telling it as I see it in the stars. So yeah, there's going to be a sense of, I want to go, but I'm being restricted. And Saturn is in a very strong position during the time of this lunar eclipse, and so is Mars. So it's going to be emphasized. And I really get this, like Mars can be the athlete. So I get this image of like being in a really hard, tough workout, and you're only on, you have to do 10 sets of something, and you're on set 2 or 3, and then like you still have more to go. So you can't just like get totally into the workout and like bust out the reps or run the laps or whatever, because you're gonna have another 8 more to go after this one. So it's kind of like, yeah, where you're gonna go, where you need to go, but you need to kind of pace yourself and be disciplined about what you're doing, be structured, and to be patient as well, because being able to hold back like that is an act of patience with yourself. You know, it's like if you're the kind of person that just starts like going into a race and starts like you know, sprinting in the first kilometer of a marathon, it's like you're not being very patient with yourself. You know, you have to pace yourself during the next 6 months. This is the message I get. I also get, yes, patience and moderation is really important. So is being shrewd. Saturn is also very strict. So these qualities are going to be what's required to thrive over the next period. I also get that empathy and compassion is what's going to bring us together. It's not fighting or taking sides. My spiritual teacher earlier today said as well that death comes to all of us. Then why are we fighting? It's something to think about. And so there's this extreme polarization that's going on because of this heated state that we're in. Like, you know, masks, no masks, you know, like in Egypt at the moment, there's this whole thing on like LGBTQ plus is wrong and no, it needs to be accepted. Or there's also the virus is dangerous, or no, it's not dangerous, it's overrated, or it doesn't exist. There is 5G is bad and we need to stop it, and there's no, actually 5G is safe. There's Bill Gates is bad and no, he's a humanitarian. Or there's the police are bad, or no, the police are necessary. What else is there? There is fear of what's to come, and there is no, we're going to ascend into the 5D where it's all just love and light. So there's like black and white, like boom, like you know in the US, Democrats and Republicans, and it's just so, it's getting so, it was already intense over the past couple of years, but this is getting taken to another level. And each side thinks that they're right. And but the astrology is telling me that there is deception probably in both sides. So we don't really know what's going on, but we feel like so compelled to know the truth and to fight for it. When, yeah, it's just clear that we are not, the truth at the moment is just, it's not available to us in the outside world with what's going on. And it's so conflicted. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's this mood where people feel like fighting with each other, or like, you know, whether it's online or whether, you know, there's been recent uprising in Ethiopia where a singer got killed and stuff like that. It's getting quite heated. So I think it's really important to take a step back and to learn about the other side as well, and to pray for them if you think you're right, and not to be so arrogant to think that you know it all and that you're on the right side, because clearly we don't really get what's going on yet. So this is the final eclipse in this season, and in this Cancer Capricorn axis, and it's going to be an important part of setting up the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, which is called the Great Conjunction, and it's going to happen in Aquarius, as I said, on December 21st. And this one's going to be interesting because it's going to be it's going to start a new cycle of this conjunction happening in air signs. Until in the last 200 years, it's been happening mostly in earth signs. So we are at a stage where the last 200 years are being broken down right now to prepare for the next stage that we're going to be very soon into. So Saturn in Aquarius is a bit different to Saturn in Capricorn. It's intellectual, it's rational and objective. It's mind energy. And while Capricorn is an earthy sign, so this new era that we're going to be in it's going to begin in that in the air sign, in the intellectual sign, the logical, objective sign of Aquarius. Not the emotion, not an emotional watery sign, and it's not like the practical materialistic earth signs. I'm really generalizing, but it's going to happen in the intellectual, objective, communicative sign of Aquarius. So in preparation for this, we are going through this this mess. And Austin Coppock is an astrologer. I was listening to his one of a podcast he was in recently, and he said that this current phase, that the problems are being presented to us, not the solutions. So let's be aware of that, because I agree. I feel that right now all the problems that we need to address are being exposed to us, and this is what we're going to build the new epoch on correcting these dysfunctional parts of our world. So now we're seeing it's being exposed to us. We're seeing where the dysfunction is. We're seeing where it's really going wrong. And I believe a part of that is also the way we are as human beings towards one another. And Jupiter is a planet that expands, and Saturn is a planet that contracts. So them meeting together in Aquarius later on this year, 6 months later, is telling me what's happening now is the hardship, are the challenges and difficulties that are going to lead us to this newfound hope for a new era. And for this, we need to be realistic. And I'm sorry for those of you who believe that we're gonna go and to a place of pure love and light from this winter solstice. I think that as long as we're alive as human beings, there are going to be struggles. So that's my personal opinion. But we need to be realistic. We need to be objective. So learning to understand and accept our differences of one another without judgment. And if you feel the urge to judge someone, instead of doing that, pray for them. Because energetically, you're gonna avoid fighting that way, and there's gonna be more peace with this attitude. And I also believe being balanced and even tempered is going to be very important. Our patience is going to be tested big time after this lunar eclipse. So find ways or techniques to kind of let your steam out without being so hurtful towards others. I've been feeling really cooked up since I stay home a lot more than I used to. And as soon as Mars got into Aries, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I got a recommendation from my coach, but I got a trampoline. So because just sitting at home and just, being online or just, doing whatever, like studying and just sitting, I do a lot of sitting, except for the hour or an hour and a half max I spend in the gym. So I'm like, I can't just be stagnant like this. And of course, the only color I could find is red. Red is the color for Mars. So every hour that I'm just stagnant, that I'm not doing much, I spend 5 minutes on that trampoline, and it's been really helping actually my mood as well. So yeah, if you want to do anything actually athletic, the next 6 months is a great time for that, for increasing your athleticism. What else? Yes, it's really important to be humble because no one really knows what's happening for sure. And we could be wrong always. I could be wrong. I'm giving you my readings in these things. I'm giving you my opinion, but I could be totally wrong. So it's important to be humble. I believe only God knows what's truly happening. Maybe if you like to say the universe knows what's truly happening. So most of all, again, be patient for the next 6 months after this lunar eclipse in Capricorn. So I'm gonna pick a card for this eclipse. Just gonna shuffle the cards. I got 2 cards. Okay. So the first card I got is the moon. So this is the lunar eclipse in Capricorn. You can see the scarab holding the sun in this card, moving towards a kind of ominous looking gateway guarded by the 2 jackals, Anubis. And it's like an initiation. So we just had 2 eclipses, and this is the final one. So, and this eclipse season is over. It's unusual that we have 3 this season. This is the final one. So you can see the scarab carrying the moon through the final eclipse, through the final passage that we're going through. And you can see that it's unclear, it's kind of nebulous, it's a bit foreboding. It's kind of like, this card reminds me of The Never-Ending Story. I don't know if you guys remember that film. I watched it as a kid in the 80s. It's like, there's a scene where these two sphinxes, I believe, and they're guarding this gateway, and Atreyu, the main character, has to go through it, and there's all these dead, like, you can see the bones from the ones that have tried before and failed, and he even sees one of the guys get zapped, because if you don't have a pure heart, the sphinxes, like, they have these laser beams coming out of their eyes, and it just like zaps you, if I remember correctly. That scene left a really, really big impact into my mind as a child for some reason, and this card really reminds me of that. So for us to go through this passage, you can see like the two Anubis, the 2 lighthouses, and the lighthouses are dark, like there's no light coming out of them. The path is unclear. We need to have a clear, clean heart. We need to have a pure heart to make it through this final eclipse portal, and to come out of the other side. This eclipse is not an easy one. I mean, eclipses in general are challenging, but the only 2 planets that are in dignity are the malefics, Saturn and Mars. Malefics are planets that bring about challenges. So I'm not saying that this eclipse is bad, but I'm saying, like, it's most likely to present some frustrations or some challenges that require us to purify ourselves to make it through. I also got the Chariot, and this emphasizes my the previous card, my interpretation of the Moon card. And you can see once again the Sphinx-like figure in the bottom of the card here, carrying the Chariot forward. These are the symbolic of parts of the zodiac, the fixed signs, and the next stage we're about to enter is going to be ruled by Aquarius. So it's one of the fixed signs. It's the Sphinx on the right here, the white colored one. So to get through towards this new epoch that's going to happen in the end of the year, you can see the Cancer, the crab at the top of this armored man, and this man has armors like crab shell. We need to concentrate on our inner sense of security, on our families, on the people that surround us, for our comfort, and for us to be able to maintain a meditative state. You can see this armored person is man or a woman. This armored person is meditating on this wheel, this sphere that's turning. So in the external world, things are going to be turning up and down and, rotating all sorts of ways. But we're just holding that and maintaining a sense of maintaining the role of the observer, and to watch it, knowing that you are secure in your family, that you're secure. It doesn't have to be your biological family, but it can be with your people, or within yourself as well, that you know how to take care of yourself. Self-care is going to be incredibly important over the next few months. If you know people who have anxiety or depression or mental health issues, please make sure to reach out to them if you can. If your cup is full, if you can do that for them, because we're going to be required to really concentrate on maintaining this sense of inner balance, like the pigeon on the one leg. At the bottom of the deck, I get the Lover's card, which is also the Gemini card. So what this tells me, this shows me the two opposing sides. And what's going on right now, no matter how much we feel like we hate the other side or the other side's wrong, what's actually happening is all this is happening is a sort of unification. Something more fair and balance is being organized right now by an unseen force. So it may not happen next year or the year after, but we're moving towards that right now, like the person on the Chariot. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video and you find value in it, please consider donating to my channel. If you'd like a reading with me, please email me. Please like and please share your comments and share this video as well. It would really help me with my channel. And I hope you all have a very blessed and smooth and easy lunar eclipse as possible. I'll be speaking to you guys soon. Bye.